Please subscribe. I really want to get my first 100 subscribers. Thank you. Your Aunt Linda is late on her pledge again, my wife said, eyes on my phone like it was hers, thumb hovering over the messages icon. I'll nudge her. I took the phone from her hand and set it face down on the counter. You're not nudging anyone. She gave me that sugary smile she used when she wanted something to feel normal. It's for the outreach drive, babe. We're behind. The clinic needs supplies. You want to be the guy who stalls bandages and thermometers. If I'd known where this was headed, I would have drawn a map out on day one. I rinsed my coffee mug, watching the suds run to the drain. The kitchen looked like a magazine, white cabinets, neat little chalkboard with a weekly menu nobody followed, candles that smelled like someone's clean laundry. She liked the performance of care. I liked results. Linda wants to help, my wife went on, pulling a tote bag up her shoulder. She said her church ladies were excited. She's 70, I said. Don't make her your accounts receivable. That's dramatic. Not as dramatic as hounding my family. She rolled her eyes and walked away, clacking down the hallway toward the office we shared. The door clicked shut. I stood there with my coffee and a gut feeling. This thing she called the outreach drive had too many moving parts and not enough paper trails. The first red flag was subtle. She'd been cool with me for a couple weeks, short answers, late nights planning events, her phone face down during dinner. When I offered help, she smirked. Help? She echoed once, stacking glossy flyers. From a guy who thinks spreadsheets are a personality? I shrugged. I think receipts are a personality. They say character. Goo. I let the sarcasm slide and took initiative. That afternoon, I emailed the clinic she mentioned, Real Brick and Mortar on Maple Street. I asked for their development director, asked if they had a community drive with my wife as a volunteer. I kept it straight, zero drama, just facts. The reply came before dinner. Polite, confused. We do not have a drive under that name. We appreciate community interest, but we haven't partnered with. And then my wife's first name, misspelled. Maybe a mistake, maybe not. I didn't confront right away. I said a line instead. I told her I'd be managing any fund from my side of the family. Separate conduit, official donation platform. I'd forward the receipt to whoever contributed. No cash to her, no transfers to her personal apps, period. She laughed like I had told a joke about my own shoes. Just like that, you're the money guy? I'm the not letting my aunt get badgered guy. She folded her arms, bracelets clinking. This is my project. Then run it like a project. Paperwork. Official links. Or you can run it without my people. She scowled, walked, didn't slam a door. The absence of the slam said more. 2 days later, at the Sunday cookout in our neighbor Marcus's backyard, she tested me. Marcus works search and rescue, built like a fresh-cut 2x4, smile like a flashlight. He handed me a beer and asked about the drive. Is the clinic really that strapped? He said. Happy to toss in. My wife cut in from behind me. He'll toss in after he stops gatekeeping generosity. He's making everybody jump through hoops. Marcus raised his eyebrows and watched me. Official link only, I said to him, calm. If there's a real partner, we'll use their portal. Transparent. No me lemon. You'll get the tax letter. She laughed. Listen to him. Charitable, but only under supervision. I took a sip. Correct. She didn't like the echo of control pointed at her. She smiled brighter, louder. Well, I've been handling it fine. Good, I said. Then you'll be fine handling your side of the street. Mina's gutted. Marcus leaned in, voice low, so only I heard. You good? I'm alert, I said. The next morning, I texted the family group thread, my mom, Aunt Linda, my cousin Nate, who always responds with memes. I wrote, all giving for any causes connected to us will go through official links I send. Please do not send cash or transfers to anyone's personal account. It prevents confusion and keeps everything clean. Love you all. Nate hit the thumbs up. Mom asked if everything was okay. I said yes. Aunt Linda wrote, of course, dear. I only gave what she said the clinic needed. I'll wait for your link next time. I stared at the phrase, I only gave. My jaw moved without thinking, grind, release, grind. When I walked into the office that night, my wife closed her laptop a little too fast. I sat on the other side, opened mine, and moved our shared budget file to a separate folder I controlled. I didn't sneak. I told her. I'm separating finances, I said. Our accounts will be transparent, but there won't be any more Venmo requests from you in my family's direction. Her smile was knives wrapped in velvet. Acting like a banker doesn't make you a leader. Setting boundaries does, I said. Boundaries? She clicked her tongue. You can't set those and expect affection. I can set them and expect respect. She stood. The chair leg scraped. Keep your spreadsheet. I have real people to talk to. She left. That night, I slept fine, not because I felt safe, but because I had posture. A man sleeps better when he's decided what he won't tolerate. Illusion of change came Tuesday. Pancakes. Coffee. A small note on the napkin in her handwriting. You're right about receipts. I overreached. I am sorry. I'll fix it. She brushed my shoulder when she handed me a plate. I don't want to fight, she said softly. I got excited. I thought I could do something meaningful, and I push your family. That's on me. Good, I said. Step one is stop asking them for money. I already did. I sent a message canceling everything. No more asks. We'll do it the right way. I'll confirm, I said. Of course, she said. You would. For a day, I let my jaw unclench. I wanted to believe that was the correction. I wanted to be a husband who heard, I'm sorry, and accepted it. But belief doesn't erase math. On Thursday, my mother called. Her voice had that careful tone she used when talking to kids. Honey, I sent $200 to support your wife's friend's clinic yesterday. She said the link wasn't working yet, but they needed to cover a delivery. Did that come through? I held the phone away for a second, looking at it like it had grown a fin. You sent where? She walked me through it while we were on the phone. She said you were tied up, and this was urgent. Mom, I just told you about the link. She said the clinic was waiting on their portal update, and she'd handle receipts later. You have the name of this clinic? She hesitated. I wrote Westside Outreach on the check. She'll. No, Mom, no more checks. I only wanted to help. I know, I said. I'll handle it. After we hung up, I drove to my bank on my lunch break. I changed my direct deposit to a personal account she didn't see and moved a chunk of savings into a separate high yield. Then I added alerts to my credit lines. Took 20 minutes. Nobody applauded. Nobody needed to. Back at work, Jenna from HR poked her head into my cubicle. She's sharp, speaks like she's always 2 steps ahead in a meeting. You look like a man who decided to build a fence, she said. Gates, actually, I said. With passwords. You need anything? She said. You've covered my tail before. I returned favors. Can you walk me through pulling payroll stubs by quarter? I asked. I want clean records I can show family if I need to show where money didn't go. She nodded. 10 minutes, conference room. Bring your laptop. On the way, she added, You okay at home? I'm done being soft about disrespect. That sounds like you're fine, she said, and didn't push. That weekend of my friend Eric's birthday, little craft place on Franklin that tries to look industrial, string lights like a movie set. My wife went public. She raised a glass, not to the birthday guy, but to herself. Shout out to everyone who believes in giving, she said, loud enough to be a speech. Some of us don't need to be babysat with official links to know when to act. A couple chuckles from people who didn't know it was aimed at me. Eric glanced at me. I picked up my soda, clinked with him, then set it down. I turned to her and spoke just loud enough to carry across our table. Respect each other in public. We can disagree at home. She smirked. You're afraid of transparency. I looked around. I could read the room. People were waiting for me to rise and justify myself or bark. I didn't either. I've set the rule, I said. Anyone who wants to support anything we touch will use the official portal of a legitimate partner. I'll circulate it when we have one. Maybe they trust me, she said. Then they can prove it by not handing you cash. Eric's girlfriend, Paige, slipped her hand into the air like she was in class. I like receipts, she said to nobody and everybody. My therapist says they reduce arguments. Laughter broke the tension. My wife's face tightened a millimeter. I watched it. Then I left the party early with a nod to Eric and a tap on his shoulder, my version of a goodbye when I refused to perform. On Monday, I got the kind of proof you don't walk away from. Marcus knocked on my workshop door. I spend nights and Saturdays in a small rented bay behind a print shop, building custom shelves and tables. The smell of cut oak calms me better than a church sermon. Got something you should see, he said, stepping in. He held out his phone. Video. My wife in a lobby I recognized, the credit union on Oak, near the grocery. She was at the counter with a thick envelope. She leaned in like she was telling a story. The teller counted out bills. She slid a deposit slip across. You filming people at banks now? I asked. My sister works there, he said. She texted me when your wife showed up with church lady envelopes. Said it looked like a raffle. She knows I'm your neighbor. I told her not to say a word to anyone. She didn't. She sent it to me, not because of gossip, but because I said family might be getting pressured. What account? Marcus shrugged. She didn't get that close. But she said the envelopes had names on them. Older names. I exhaled through my nose. Thanks. You need backup? No, I said. I need clarity. After he left, I opened my laptop and went through our house office filing drawers. I wasn't snooping, I was confirming. In the bottom drawer, under a stack of unused seasonal napkins, I found a cheap printer's letterhead. West Side Outreach, complete with a logo I could have designed in 5 minutes. No tax ID. No address. Just a P.O. box. Called the number. Voicemail. Generic. I took pictures of everything. Then I opened photos on my phone and pulled up the family thread my wife had with my cousins. When I wasn't in, Nate had added me the day before by accident. The first thing I saw there was her voice memo. I know the official portal isn't live yet, but the clinic is on a deadline. If it's easier, just send it to me and I'll bundle it for them. You know me. I'll take care of it. Then she posted a photo of a child's hand holding a lollipop with a caption about small joys. I reverse searched the photo. Stock. First page result. When she came home that night, I was ready, not with outrage, but with a plan. She stepped into the kitchen, tote bag, tired smile she put on for audiences, not for me. I led her to the office. Saturday. I didn't raise my voice. I laid out the letterhead, the video stills, the text threads printed and highlighted. I listed the donations I knew about from my side, the ones from my mother and Aunt Linda, and the names I recognized from the deposit envelopes. She stared at the pile like it was a pop quiz in a class she never attended. Then she reached for indignation but came up with something wobbly. I was building momentum, she said. You killed the portal. People still wanted to help. I told them I'd front it and settle with the clinic later. It's temporary. You told my mother the portal was down because of an update. You told Aunt Linda you needed a delivery covered. Then you put cash into your account. I needed to, she said. There were expenses. Printing. Space rental. Gas. My time. Your time isn't billable to my family's hearts, I said. She blew out a breath. You think this is me being greedy? It's not. This is me leveraging my network. I can actually build something if you stop trying to make me small. You build a lie. I built a campaign, she snapped. Then softer, and yes, I kept some back because I had to lock in the venue for the gala. Once we run the gala, there'll be more than enough to replace what you took, I finished. That's your plan? Borrow family trust, run an event for reputation, then fill the hole later if you still feel like it? She looked at me for the first time like she was truly measuring the outcome. I can make it right. No, I said. I'll make it right. You're done asking anyone I know for money. You're done using my name or my family's name for anything. And we're done. Her face didn't register it at first, like the sentence had to load. You don't mean that. Edo. Over this. Because of this, I said. This cost the only thing that made us a team. You wove your needs through my family and called it charity. That's not a stumble. That's a pattern. She reached for the soft track again, illusion of change number 2. Let me fix it, she whispered, eyes glossed like a commercial. I'll refund everyone, with interest. I'll post the real link and we can co-host. We'll be that couple who turns a mistake into a mission. I can do humility. I'll do it. For you. You'll do it because you're caught, I said. Humility is quiet. This is loud. You're punishing me because you like control. I'm leaving because I like respect. She took a half step like she wanted a close distance. I didn't move. She sensed it and tried a different tactic, the overcaring one. Eat dinner first, she pleaded. I made your favorite from that video you liked. Sit with me. Talk. Don't blow up our life over a misunderstanding. We're not blowing up, I said. We're making a clean cut. That night, I slept in the spare room. In the morning, I prepped the next steps. Changed the door code, moved my important tools and documents to the workshop, Told my landlord I'd need an extra storage month at the Bay, and he nodded like he'd seen this before. Then I texted my sister-in-law Paige and Marcus and asked them to be home, but she came by for her things later in the week. Not a police scene, not a circus, just witnesses so there would be no stories. I wasn't going to be alone with drama. At lunch, I drove to Aunt Linda's. We sat at her table with a glass teapot between us and the rustle of the willow tree out back. I explained everything once, clear. I'll make sure every dollar is returned. I told her, I don't want you tangled in something that wasn't real. She patted my hand. I gave because I love you, she said, and because I thought she was you. That sentence sat between us like a third person. I let it sit because truth has weight, and we're built to carry it if we stand up straight. Then I did the legwork. I called everyone I knew had been asked. I told them I was coordinating refunds for anything that didn't go through an official portal. I gave them two options: accept my repayment immediately or wait for me to route it through the real clinic as a donation in their name, so it still did some good. Most picked the donation. A few wanted money back. I did both. Receipts, screenshots, paper in a manila folder labeled Make Right. I met with the clinic's actual development director, woman named Nora with a Bob Ross voice and the patience of a saint. I told her my wife had been raising money improperly and that I was setting it straight. She nodded slowly. We see passion run ahead of process sometimes, she said. Thank you for handling this like a grown-up. I'd like to sponsor their next supply run, I said, quietly. And if it helps, I can build a few standing storage racks for your back room on weekends. She smiled, tired and real. We need both more than you know. We set one more plan, a transparent community night at the clinic where anyone who had questions about giving could meet the staff, tour the space, and give directly to Nora's hand. No speeches, just doors open. Before the event, my wife tried one last pivot. She showed up at my workshop with sandwiches and a bright, too sunny voice. She walked around a walnut table I was oiling, touching edges that didn't need touching. This is gorgeous, she said. You're talented. I say that enough. You say a lot of things, I said, not looking up. She set a paper bag on the bench. I brought lunch. You forget to eat when you're turning into a hero. I'm not a hero, I said. I'm a man who doesn't let people get played. She leaned on the bench. Let me co-host the clinic night, she said. It'll show people I'm accountable. I can stand up in. No podiums, I said. No microphones. No posts. If you show as a guest with a wallet. Quiet. My name is on half of everything, she said, like she'd found a weapon. House. Friends. Life. Names on paper and name in a community aren't the same thing, I said. You've mixed the two. I'm separating them. She stared at me, new anger carving lines under her eyes. You look like a man who abandons his wife in public. I'll look like a man who won't be used as a letterhead. The night of the clinic event, the waiting room filled with neighbors, coworkers, my mother and Aunt Linda, and Nate in a denim jacket, even Marcus on his way off shift, still in his uniform. Nora greeted people, answered questions, pointed at shelves and rooms. I stood near the coffee urn, poured cups, handed out informational sheets. My wife hovered at the door for 5 minutes, then left when it was clear there'd be no stage for her to control. Around 8, when the crowd thinned, I cleared my throat, and in a voice more to the room than the people, I said, if you were approached privately about giving for the clinic before tonight, and you gave to any personal account, I have a list. We'll reconcile. If you want your contribution redirected here, we'll do it now. If you'd like it back, I brought checks. Heads turned, some surprised, some grateful. Nora squeezed my shoulder. Paige stepped in beside me, collected names. We did like a check outline. 2 minutes each, no drama, a system that moved. We closed the gap between rumor and receipt. And because clean endings matter, I handled our marriage the same way. The following morning, I sat with my wife at our dining table. I'd already drafted a simple agreement for how we'd split what we had. No fighting over forks. No grandstanding about who deserved the house. I want out clean. We could list and sell. She could keep the couch she loved. I'd keep the workshop and the truck. I would not be returning to the subject of us. She scowled at the papers. You think you could just end it and look noble? I'm not aiming for noble, I said. I'm aiming for done. You're making an example out of me. You made an example out of yourself." She flipped through pages, trying to find the trap. "I could drag this," she said, testing the tone. "Make it ugly." "You could," I said, "and we'd both bleed. Or you sign, and we both walk." Her eyes darted like she was choosing a costume. She picked wounded. "Nobody's ever forgiven me for anything, have they? You've been forgiven for attitude, for tone, for lateness, for cold shoulders, for digs in public. You don't get forgiven for using people. You make it right, and you move on." She stared at me, then scribbled her name like she was slashing canvas. She pushed the papers back. "I hope your clinic is proud." "I'm proud of me." On her way out, she turned at the door. "You'll miss me." "I'll miss who I thought you were," I said, then stood to open the door. When a man decides, he doesn't linger. I changed the door code after she left. I sent a clean message to family. "We've separated. I am okay. Please direct any cause-related questions to me or the clinic directly. Thank you for understanding." No gossip. Just a single paragraph that closed a book. People asked me later if I felt empty, if I wanted to rage, if I wanted to break something. Truth? I wanted peace. So I built it. I doubled down on the workshop. Word got around that the guy who said he'd deliver Saturday delivered Friday. I added floating shelves to my portfolio, then mudroom benches, then a minimalist coffee table that Paige saw and insisted on for Eric's living room. Clients came not because I posted thirst traps with lumber, but because I answered the phone and showed up when I said I would. I moved into a 2-bedroom rental over a barbershop with windows that faced east. Mornings, the light rolled across my floor like a slow tide. My truck fit in the back lot. I bought a secondhand gym rack and set it up by the window. Routine is its own kind of luxury. The first time it rained after she was gone, I made a stew that lasted 2 days and invited Marcus over. He brought a bottle of something brown he didn't really drink. We watched a game with the sound low and talked about trivial things. Men don't need a lot of words to feel anchored. A few good ones beat a sea of noise. Somewhere in there, a woman named Emily walked into my shop to ask about a bookshelf for her classroom. 3rd grade, public school near the stadium. She talked fast, hands moving, eyes sincere. She decided on maple. When she came to pick it up, she brought coffee and smiled like she owned her joy instead of renting it. We didn't rush anything. We took a Saturday to walk around the farmer's market. She teased me for buying too many tomatoes. "Planning to start a salsa empire?" she said. "Planning to cook for 2, I said, and she gave me a look that said she heard the sentence before the joke. When word of the separation reached people outside the circle, my wife tested the waters for an audience. She started some new project under a different name, then another. She leaned harder into promises and less into product. People were polite. People were tired. She moved into an apartment over a nail salon and posted photos of sunsets that didn't look like our town. A mutual friend told me she was working part-time at a boutique and running events on weekends that never seemed to happen. I didn't stalk. I didn't comment. I didn't keep up. I simply learned from what had been and kept my eyes on what I was building. Months later, Nora called to thank me again. "We named one of the storage racks after you," she said, laughing at herself. "Not officially. We just call it the straight line rack. It made our inventory days simpler." "Good," I said. "I like simple." At a barbecue at Marcus's, Paige handed me a beer and Eric elbowed me. "You look light," Eric said. "I put down a lot of weight," I said. "House sold." "Closed last week," I said. Took my share, paid off the truck, upgraded machinery in the shop, booked a weekend by the lake with Emily. No posts about it. Just doing it. Paige lifted her glass. "To men with boundaries. To women who appreciate them," I added, nodding toward Emily across the yard, laughing with Marcus's wife about a dog that kept stealing napkins. My mother came up beside me then, slipping her arm into mine. "I love that clinic tour you organized," she said. "I felt safe giving there. And I like her," she added, tilting her head toward Emily. "She doesn't perform kindness. She just does it. She does a lot quietly," I said. Aunt Linda waddled over with a plate of watermelon and slid it into my hand. "Look at you," she said. "You got your shoulders back." I was slouching. "You were carrying someone else's story," she said. "Now you're just carrying your own." I chewed watermelon and let that land. Before we left the party, Marcus stopped me by the gate. That night at the clinic, he said, "You could have made a show." "You didn't." "That sticks." "I wasn't interested in a show," I said. "I wanted a result." He nodded, approving. Man after my own heart. On the drive home, Emily leaned her head back against the seat. "You really did all that," she said, not a question. "You fixed it without trying to humiliate her." "I fixed what I could," I said. "Humiliation is a hobby for people who don't have purpose." She squeezed my hand. "So what's your purpose this week?" "Build a walnut desk for a woman who grades papers on her couch," I said. She smiled. "Sounds like that woman is about to cry happy tears." "She can cry on her own time," I said, deadpan, and she laughed because she understood the joke under the shield. Sometimes people ask me how to know when to walk. They expect a lightning bolt. It wasn't that. It was breakfast and texts and a lobby video and a stack of glossy flyers with no tax ID. It was a line crossed, not in a single step, but inch by inch, disguised as virtue. I didn't scream. I didn't plead. I changed how access worked. I put steel in the spine of my life and faced consequences like a man should. When my ex eventually sent a long message about regret, it landed in a folder with every other thing she'd tried. It had the right words this time. Maybe they were even true by then. It didn't change anything. I replied with the same sentence I'd learned to use. "I wish you well." "We're finished." After I hit send, I went downstairs and glued up a tabletop, clamping each board with slow, deliberate pressure until the seam closed and the surface held. Wood teaches you things, how strength looks quiet, how pressure applied in the right place changes everything, how a straight line, once drawn, is easy to follow if you stop second-guessing. A week later, I loaded Emily's desk into the truck and drove it to her classroom. The kids were out for the day. The room smelled like dry erase marker and pencil shavings. She ran a palm across the edge of the desk and looked at me like people look at safe places. "This is going to see a lot of good work," she said. "Keep your coffee on a coaster," I said, handing her one I'd made out of scrap. "Boundaries." She laughed, and I laughed, and we set the desk by the window where the morning sun would hit it first. As we stood back, I felt the quiet click of things in place. The shop humming, friends grounded, family at ease, a woman beside me who didn't need spotlights to be warm. A life with clean edges. Somewhere my ex was building something else or burning it down again. That's not my story. My story is straightforward. When I found out she'd used my people under the flag of kindness, I ended it, made it right with the ones who mattered, and kept moving with the dignity of a man who doesn't negotiate his standards. You can call it cold. I call it steady. When men ask me what I do differently, I tell them this. Nothing major. I'd draw the line sooner. I'd watch how someone treats other people's trust like a ledger to borrow from. I'd separate accounts the first time a joke about official links landed like a jab. And I'd still choose peace over performance every single time. The night we first ate at my new place, I made that stew again. Emily set bowls on the table and pointed at the chalkboard I'd hung with the week's menu. "You really use it," she joked. "I do," I said. "It keeps me honest." She looked around the apartment, plants by the window, a stack of books, my tools lined up in the spare room like an army at ease. "This looks like a man's life," she said, approving. "No theater." "No theater," I agreed. "Just work, and whoever's earned a place at the table." She touched the back of my neck as she passed behind me. Light, respectful. "I'll clear the dishes tonight," she said. "Your guest," I said. She smiled. "Not forever." Not forever, I thought, and the phrase felt like exactly the right size. No promises made too early, no grand speeches, just the quiet certainty of a man who knows what he is and what he will not be. When I think back to that first morning, the phone in her hand, the line about Aunt Linda's pledge, I don't feel rage or grief. I feel grateful for the clarity. She said something small, and it revealed something huge. I answered not with fireworks, but with a line drawn in permanent marker. That's how I moved from a house full of candles to a home with a workshop smell that never left my clothes. From being circled by charm to standing with people who don't need convincing to be decent. So that's the story. No cliffhangers. No speeches at 10 decibels above reason. Just a man who kept his tone even, put his plan in writing, fixed what he could, and left the rest behind. If you'd been in my kitchen that morning, you'd have heard the same sentence I left her with when I handed over the last box and changed the code. Take care, I said. My door isn't your door anymore.